So I hope to give you some ideas on how you can help your clients interpret dreams, because sometimes dreams can be very disturbing. Clients come to me to ask me to break a cycle of recurring dreams, for example, or to help them work out a particular knot of meaning that they can't quite get to. And I found that astrology has been a really big help. But it has been a journey for me to kind of unravel the things that work in dream interpretation. I lean heavily on Rod Suskin's work, which I'll take you through step by step. And I've managed to collect quite a few dreams over the past few years with clients that come to me as a one-off, or they come back to me repeatedly to have dreams interpreted. Dreams are very old. They are recorded in the Bible, for example, in the book of Joel. And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit on all flesh. Your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Your old men shall dream dreams, and your young men shall see visions. Even on the male and female servants in those days I will pour out my spirit. And I think this verse is very close to the way that the Ojibwe view dreams. So, you know, I'm looking at the ways that we view dreams and how we've changed our ideas of what dreams mean. And I'm just thinking that, you know, there must be an evolution of our understanding of dreams as time goes on, as evidenced by this Bible verse. And also culture. We know that Freud had a big impact on how we view dreams, and the continuing studies in neurology have had a huge impact on how we view dreams. So what we know about dreams from a neurologist's point of view is that we go to sleep, but we sleep in different stages, and we go fall into a very deep sleep, which we're not likely to remember anything, and this is most likely where the brain is regenerating itself and resting itself. And then we start to come up a little bit into consciousness, and we're not awake, but we're experiencing something called rapid eye movement, REM, and this lasts anywhere between 20 minutes to a couple hours. We can have lots of different dreams in the night based on the activities going on in our brain, but we only tend to remember those dreams that happen during REM. So if you can remember a dream, it's likely that you've woken up during an REM phase or stage. So there's been lots of people throughout history who have been inspired by the dreams and have had something happen to them that they woke up and thought, I have an answer to my question, something that I've been thinking about for a long time. And one of these people is Elias Howe, who invented the sewing machine. I'm not going to read this to you. I'm just going to talk to you, so you can read this while I talk to you. So his dream was that the needle, as we understand it, is we thread the needle at the heel of the needle, and we pierce the fabric that we're stitching with the head of the needle. And so that's the way we've been sewing all throughout history. But he had this dream that you thread the needle at the head, and a very unusual dream. He was building the sewing machine for the savage king in a strange country. And when he woke from this dream, he had the idea. So you look at this, and he says by 4 o'clock in the morning, he jumped out of bed, ran to his workshop, and by 9 o'clock, a needle with an eye at the point had been crudely modeled. And he says it was that easy. And so this is a good example of how a dream has actually led to something incredibly useful. Now, I talked a little bit about Sigmund Freud. So he considered dreams to be the royal road to the unconsciousness, because ego defenses were lowered, so repressed thoughts and emotions could come to the surface. And we might all be familiar with this idea of the iceberg and the unconscious mind. So, you know, here's a great big huge iceberg. Just to remind you, we can only see the tip of the iceberg, but underneath is all this stuff going on. And so Freud thought, okay, so the conscious is up here, this little bit of the iceberg that we can see. This is the amount of mental activity that we're aware of. Then there's a subconscious, things we could be aware of if we wanted to, if we tried, a repressed memory, for example, or, pi, the value of pi to 9 decimal spaces or whatever. But the unconscious are things that we are unaware of. And this is where we store our instincts, our fears, memories that have to be triggered by something. And this is where the dream world exists, in this deep part of the metaphorical iceberg. Now, just to go back a little bit, there's been lots of people besides Elias Howe who have had important dreams. For example, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson was the result of a nightmare. The song I Can't Get No Satisfaction was inspired by a dream with Keith Richards. DNA, benzene, the Terminator, the movie Terminator by James Cameron was a dream, as well as Kubla Khan by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. But going back to Freud, he once dreamt of a woman called Irma, who he had met and later clinically examined at a party in his dream. Irma was one of his patients, and what he had prescribed for her illness appeared to be making her more unwell in the dream. However, upon examination in his dream, he saw the chemical formula of a prescription another doctor had administered with the dirty syringe, and that was the cause of her decline in health. And upon awakening, Freud began developing his dream theory, which was based on wish fulfillment. So just to look at the time of this dream. Now, a lot of dreams, you don't have the exact time. So I just want to look at the transits for this dream to see if it kind of speaks to Freud's chart. Now, bearing in mind, I don't know exactly where the moon is, but Rod Susskind says it's the 9th house for the dreamer. So here's Freud's 9th house up here. With Cancer, and the ruler of Cancer, of course, is the moon, which we find in the 8th house. And I don't think if you understand Freud's dream and you're talking about an injection, I don't think you have to exercise your imagination too much to get to the point of the 8th house in Sigmund Freud's dream. So Rod Susskind says the 9th house, Regiomontanus houses. I've experimented with different houses. In natal houses, I'm an equal house girl, but Rod says the Regiomontanus house system, and I have to say that I found this very, very helpful to use this system. He says the natal chart can help us. One's own particular dream language tends to work. The 9th house is the place of dreams. So remember what I said about dreams also being like aspirations, kind of the future, seeing, what you want to do. How are you going to make your hopes and wishes come true? So the ruler of the 9th house and any planets in the house all describe the personal dream style. If someone had strong positive planets here, they'd often have pleasant dreams or dreams which are beneficial to them. Of course, the opposite is true for difficult or troubled planets, the malefic planets, and those having a bad dignity day. The full article is here on astro.com. Rod Susskind was one of the speakers in India in IBC 2018, so I had a lot of inspiration from what he presented. And also I have to give a shout out to Christos Arcos, who also did a presentation on dreams. I haven't had a chance to test out Christos's ideas, but I like to try out new techniques, but I like to put lots of practice behind it before I come to any sort of conclusions. So this is a work in progress. I'm constantly looking at honing my techniques, kind of trying to figure out what exactly works from what doesn't work. So Rod says we have a consultation chart. So I'm aware that in horary, some people will look at a horary chart based on when they receive an email, for example, or a conversation that might have happened. The way I like to work is I ask the client to write things down. Because someone will ask me, I got a dream I want interpreted, and I'll say, stop right there, write it down for me. And I'll show you why this is important to me in a couple of slides. So the consultation chart when you hear the dream.